Hey friends, this is Alex from Vulture Culture, and today I'm going to be showing you how to turn your hardware synthesizer into an OB-6 using Omnisphere's hardware integration. I'm going to be using this Korg Prolog 16 analog synthesizer, but you can use any hardware synthesizer you want as long as it's supported by Omnisphere. There's currently over 60 hardware profiles in Omnisphere. Spectrasonics let me know they're coming out with new ones in the near future. But that includes everything by Sequential, Korg, Roland, Novation, they're all in there. So there's a good chance if you have a hardware synthesizer, it's already supported by Omnisphere. I don't want to waste any of your time, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is pull up the hardware synth you're using. I'm using the Korg Prolog. And so now we are using the hardware profile of the Prolog in Omnisphere. So one of the things you can do straight away is actually change the sound of the waveforms you're using. So Omnisphere has modeled the waveforms for all the synths they support. This is the sound of the Prolog. And if I go over to the OB-6 here, you could use an OB-X if you wanted, but we'll use the OB-6 for today. You get this sound. But I actually quite like the sound of the Korg Prolog, so I'm gonna just leave it on that for now, but that's an option. You can save that as a user tweak. So the one component that really defines the OB-6's sound is actually the state variable filter. And what that is it's a filter that lets you morph between low pass notch and high pass filters on the OB-6. And the problem is if I select that filter that they modeled in Omnisphere, as soon as I touch the Prolog's filter, it's going to jump back. See how it jumped back to the 12-pole low-pass filter of the Prolog. So what we can do is turn filter 2 on and select the state variable filter there and move the mix all the way to the right. And now we're listening to the sound of the state variable filter. Now it still sounds like a low-pass filter, but when I move the variant, it should be pretty obvious to hear that we now have a high-pass filter. And we can still control the resonance and the cutoff directly from the hardware, which is sort of the goal, right? Now, the problem is what if we want to control the variant offset, or in this case, it's really the morph knob from the OB-6? Well, what we can do is, and this is where the user tweaks get incredibly powerful. If I go to Midi Learn here, and I'm going to move the knob on my Akai MPD, which is just a cheap MIDI controller. Now I've learned that function to the knob on this controller. So now when I play some notes, I can control what type of filter blend we're getting off of my MIDI controller here. So what we can do now is actually go to save user tweaks. And what this is going to do is now whenever I load the hardware profile up on any instance of Omnisphere, it remembers the state variable filter and the fact that the this MIDI controller is now part of the hardware profile. And I'll always be able to control the morph knob from here, and I can still control the cutoff and the resonance over here. I think most people do not realize how incredibly powerful this is, because what that allows you to do is expand any hardware you have. Now you don't even have just these knobs. You've also got as many other functions as you can fit on any other hardware you have at the same time, all controlling one synth engine. To further prove my point, I wanted to show you how you could map some other things that might not be on the hardware profile, but stuff that you like using in Omnisphere. So for instance, I like using the bit crusher in Omnisphere. So I'm just going to right click on it, Midi Learn, twist a little knob right here, and now I can go from this sound to a bit crush sound that's not supported on the Prolog. Another example of this is that I could go into the effects and I have the flame distortion set up with the valve driver, and I can just click on Midi Learn, twist this knob, and now I have control over some seriously ballsy distortion that's a lot more powerful than just the drive we get normally with Omnisphere's hardware profile. So it's just incredible how much you can actually learn into this. Whoops, how much you can actually learn onto the hardware profile and use that at any time you want to expand how well you can control Omnisphere using a hardware synthesizer. All right, guys, if you have any questions for me about Omnisphere's user tweaks or the Korg Prologue, please put them in the comment section down below. And also, if you have any tips or tricks for me, maybe things I haven't thought about yet. The user tweaks in Omnisphere for the hardware integration is so crazy when you really start thinking about the power that you have at your fingertips. So anyways, if you liked the video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.